So today we're going to learn how to do therapeutic breathing. And there are really 5 components to therapeutic breathing. The first is to breathe slowly. And we want to get, people breathe on average between 12 and 20 breaths per minute. We want to get that down to about 6 breaths per minute. The second thing we want to do is we want to extend our exhale. We want to have a shorter inhale and a longer exhale. Because when you exhale, it turns on that vagal brake I'm always talking about, and it slows your heart. And we'll talk more about each one of these things. I just want to give you an idea of some of the important components. The third thing is to breathe in your nose and out your mouth. And that has specific effects on learning, memory, your limbic system, your hippocampus, and your frontal lobes. And you don't get those benefits if you breathe in your mouth and out your mouth. The fourth thing is belly breathing, deep diaphragmatic breathing. You want to get your breath all the way down to the bottom of your lungs. You want to push your diaphragm down, which will suck all that air in. And that not only increases your oxygen transfer, but it does very specific things in terms of heart rate variability that empower this vagal brake. And the last thing that we want to do is practice this. We want to repeat this cycle of 6 breaths per minute. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, longer exhale than inhale, deep breath. We want to repeat that cycle for at least 5 to 10 minutes, at least a couple times a day. And that will give us the maximum sort of long-term benefits. All right. There are really 4 ways to use deep breathing or therapeutic breathing. The first is in anticipation of some upcoming stressful event. So if you know you have a meeting at work or something that's going to be challenging, breathe before you go in. If you find yourself in an interaction with somebody and you can feel your arousal start to go up, you start to get upset, maybe you start talking loudly, another good time to stop, take a few therapeutic breaths, calm your body down. It'll help you re-engage in a reasonable way. And the last part is that even if you've had an episode of some sort, it takes your body some time to recover from that. If you do your deep breathing after you've been upset, it'll settle down, bring your cortisol down, your stress hormones, it'll settle your body down and help you to be calm. So, and the last part is that we need to develop a practice because long-term use of this has all kinds of benefits. All right, so let me now go through each one of those things I talked about and give you some examples of how to improve or use those things. The first, you remember before I said we're not very intentional about our breath. We don't really monitor it. And when I'm in that group with people, I certainly didn't see the difference between the different types of breathing. This is a spirometer, all right? You can buy this at the local pharmacy or they'll order it for you for about $4. And I haven't found it to be the most useful thing in terms of teaching breathing, but it certainly helps people be more aware of when they're inhaling and when they're exhaling. And so it's pretty simple. If you blow out, you can see the ball stays up. And if you breathe in, the ball comes back down. So what we teach people to do is just to play with it. Get more aware of what they're doing. And so, in the nose, all the way down to the diaphragm, and then and it's a good diagnostic tool as well, because what you find is that you think people are extending their exhale, and they're actually so that's number 1. All right. So the first thing we talked about was that we need to slow our breath down. In order to do that, most of us need a breath pacer, at least to learn how to do it. And there's a couple of different breath pacers we use, and you'll see them up on the screen here. The first one is from the Gibson Research Center, and it's called Anti-Stress Maximum Relaxation Breath Pacer. And the other one is Breathe to Relax. Breathe to Relax. Both of those are free. They can go on your computer and on your phone. The nice thing about both of them is that you can adjust the breaths per minute, so you can get to that 6 breaths per minute, and you can also adjust the length of exhale, length of inhale. So my favorite is the Gibson, because you can actually watch the ball go up and down, set it where you want it, and it's very easy to follow. And we put it right up on a television screen, and everybody in the room does it together. So really useful. The second thing is that extended exhale. And in order to understand the benefit of extended exhale, you really have to think about something called respiratory sinus arrhythmia. Complicated term, but it's actually pretty simple. If you go to your physician and you ask for your heart rate, he'll say, if you're healthy, it's about 70 beats per minute. Well, it's not 70 beats per minute. That's the average heart rate. Okay, so when you breathe in, your heart rate goes up, and when you breathe out, your heart rate goes down. All right, and that's really quite useful for a number of reasons. First of all, when you breathe in, you're bringing oxygen into your lungs. You want to capture as much of that oxygen, so your heart rate increases, so the blood flow increases, so that you can get that oxygen. When you breathe out, it's really a good time to give your heart a break. And so when you breathe out, your vagal brake goes on, B-R-A-K-E, vagal brake goes on, and your heart takes a break, B-R-E-A-K. And over the course of your lifetime, you save about 350 million heartbeats by that little exercise. So it really extends your life. So there's a couple of ways couple tricks or tips about how to extend your exhale. You saw the spirometer. The exhale words are really useful. There's a couple of other things you could do. One is tap into procedural memory. So there's certain things you know how to do already, that if you do those, it'll automatically extend your exhale. So let me give you a couple examples of that. This is chicken soup. And we've actually done this with chicken soup, by the way. So when you blow on your hot chicken soup, you blow like this. Softly and slowly. And when you do, because you don't want to blow the soup off the spoon, and you want to get the maximum amount of air across that soup so that it will cool. Well, that's part of your procedural memory. Most everybody knows how to cool down their soup. So if you say, okay, you got a group and you want to teach exhale, just and there's lots of different things like that, so you can be as creative as you like. You know, if you're dealing with kids, this is sort of one of my favorites. Every kid knows how to blow in chocolate milk, hence the cap on top. And you put a line here, you see, and you put your straw in and you blow in your chocolate milk, and you try to get the kids not to go over that line, just to go up to the line. And so, again, you take that breath in, and you can see your exhale, and it's fun. It's a good exercise for kids. For adults, the chocolate milk is probably not necessary. Some adults, sure, makes it more fun. Just a straw. I did this with a very large group of people, probably 150 people in a room, and these straws are essentially free. Passed them out to the whole group. Because you're driving your exhale through that tiny little space there, it extends your exhale. Again, another fun activity for kids. You want to keep that thing moving. It only moves when you exhale on it. So again, breathe in all the way down, and so those are a few tips on how to teach it. You see how complicated it is because we're going to teach each step. The third thing is to inhale through your nose and bring it all the way down. Okay? And again, the maximum benefit is going to be if you inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. You're going to get benefits in terms of learning, memory, calming down your limbic system, the seat of your fear response in your brain, and turning on your frontal lobes. So you're capable of being more reasonable, and you're going to be less reactive. You don't get those benefits if you breathe in your mouth and out your mouth. This is a little bit challenging to do. So what we teach people to do is to follow this path from the tip of their nose all the way down to the diaphragm, all the way down to their belly. So in the beginning, just breathe through your nose and get that sense of air coming through your nostrils. Just feel it right through there. And then go up to the bridge of your nose and feel it come in the beginning of your nose, or the end of your nose, your nostrils, and then up to the bridge of your nose. And then maybe to the top of your throat. So we're teaching people to track this breath from here all the way down. Top of your chest, so nose, bridge of the nose, upper throat, upper part of your chest. And then lower part of your chest. And then your belly. Pretty simple, but you see, you got to practice it, and that's a really nice way to teach people how to do it. If you think of breathing through your feet, I'd like you just to try that. Because when you breathe through your feet, breathe right through your toes, you can feel your belly expand when you do that. And it's sort of automatic. And of course, the last part of this is to develop a practice that you do as often as possible. When you develop a practice, I like to think that there's really probably three pieces to it. You need to think of a time. You need to think of a place, and potentially need to think of a person or people that you can do it with. If you don't set the time aside, most of us are so busy that it won't happen, right? And you have those ideas of doing it in anticipation of events that could be stressful, during stressful events, and after stressful events. But this is really a practice where you set aside some time to get good at this, all right? My favorite really, and I think one of the easiest ways to use it, is before you get out of bed in the morning. So you wake up, do your therapeutic breathing, at 6 breaths per minute. All you're talking about is 30 breaths to get your 5 minutes. So once you get good at it, just lay in bed that first 5 minutes, do your deep breathing, and when you get at bed, it'll improve your day, right? And we'll look at the research in a couple of minutes, but what you also find is that it can improve your sleep. So 5 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes, even better. But when you get into bed at night, the first 5 or 10 minutes, do it again. It will improve your sleep. A 20-minute practice is sufficient for long-term health care benefits. And those other things, and then it can be used to improve your behavior at any point and help you with recovery and being calm. So be creative, enjoy it, and breathe therapeutically so you can be the kind of person you want to be.